Are Sisters of Slaughter any good in patch 6.0.5? Well, this is a very different unit than Witch Elves despite a similar lack of heavy armor. A more expensive unit, this is also far, far more defensive, and that's an interesting curve. Let's take a closer look at girls with whips who can take it as well as dish it out. Recruited for 1100 gold and 275 upkeep. On Ultra they have 100 entities and 7500 health, so 1000 more than a full unit of Witch Elves on Ultra. Armor is 5 with token shields that block 20% of small arms fire from the front, but it's something. Physical resistance is 20% default, very good to have of course, from agility and dodging. Leadership begins at 82, a very high level. Speed 44 and charge speed 52 are speedy values. Melee attack is 40 default with an attack interval of 4.5, which is a little slower than the average swordsman, and every strike carries poison. There is no splash damage. Melee defense begins, rather than ends, at 58, an absurdly high figure for this game, especially without High Elves passive boosts. Weapon strength of 38, split base 27 and armor piercing 11 is just fine, actually very decent on the anti-armor part compared to normal infantry. Charge bonus is 20 and mass is 90. What didn't you see? A bonus versus infantry there is none. Besides Murderous Mastery and Hide in Forest, this unit is defined by its passive Trial of Blades, which lasts 15 seconds, has a cooldown of 3 seconds, but requires the sisters to be losing in melee combat to recharge. Since Total War Warhammer 2, I have termed this a sore loser mechanic. When procced, it's melee attack plus 8 and armor piercing plus 4 with every blow. That is, a powerful melee defensive unit becomes more offensive when it is losing than when it is comfortably winning. In the Redline skills, like Witch Elves, they fall under Slaughterlord, granting plus 6 melee attack and melee defense at 3 pips. Similarly, at rank 7, Confer Bloodlust can grant speed plus 10%, weapon strength plus 12%, and an additional 10% physical resistance, which does stack. In the tech tree, the techs are exactly the same as Witch Elves, so let's zip by them and just appreciate the sisters get even better from their default situation. And while it is not my habit to get into this level of specifics with a unit-focused video that covers a unit in its good-for-every commander state, just keep in mind that between particular names of power, legendary lords, death hags, and even slapping on even more physical resistance with Lore of Beasts, available to Dark Elves, well, it can get pretty ridiculous, but magical attack and spells breach physical resistance, so there. Now, how do we use Sisters of Slaughter? Besides just staring and appreciating the poetry in motion, this is a rare unit, both a hold-the-line unit of extreme competence, and nonetheless very killy against low all the way to higher mid-tier threats, with poison serving as a constant boon. When you send them into melee and they arrive, you expect them to last, at least better than Witch Elves, and possibly to truly insane levels. You send them in to slow the battle down, to buy you time, and, well, to give your Dark Shards time to kill stuff. Of course, being this kind of unit, you do not want your stray magic killing your own girls. So with that in mind, you still want to tie down enemy missile units, you want to stop them from being run over by chariots and cavalry, and so on and so forth, but you still appreciate that they are much harder to crush than the norm, and keep in mind, against pure armor-piercing opponents, they are objectively better than high armor, even when you consider magical attack. Of course, you really would rather sky-high melee defense and enemies lacking magical attack. In short, you're getting a lot of what you got with Witch Elves, some of the same fragility but not as much, and far more ability to avoid damage altogether. That's why you're paying 300 gold more. That said, the real operational art is using the sisters to anchor your formation and to work with them and around them to take the enemy down. It's not about what the sisters bring by themselves, even though that's considerable, but how the sisters free other units to run rampant. This can be as simple as Corsairs with handbows running up the flanks and firing into bats, or Harpies crashing into the back of the blob, or a Pit of Shades, dropping because unlike other vortexes, it will stay put for the duration. Take care and have fun working on ways to use the sisters as lead-off hitters, getting you in position to hit the real home runs.